It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. Congrats, your business is doing great. All your hard work is paying off, but you need help like now, and you have to hire fast. How can you hire amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. And with sponsored jobs, your posts jump to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. One of the things I love most about Indeed is that it has one of the largest databases of job seekers, giving employers access to a wide range of candidates. And with job alerts, I get notified when new candidates apply. And with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. So how fast? Well, in the minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need.
This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 247.
Zombies.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later.
And now your host. The first time he ate a kiwi, it was in college.
Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contract or agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI.
Hey everybody, what's up? Thank you so much for joining me today, and Happy New Year to those of you who are listening to this at the start of 2017. This is going to be a great year for us on the podcast. We have a lot of amazing guests on the show. We have two today, actually, Eric Norduff and James Frazier, who have an amazing story to share with you. They started as two guys who just loved a show called The Walking Dead, which is one of my favorite shows on AMC. And you may have heard me reference it at one point. I had even tried to campaign to be an extra on the show, which I still want to do at some point, which would be a lot of fun. But anyway, Eric and James got together, started a podcast, which then exploded into this incredible brand. And now they have a conference. Not just one, but they have something called Walker Stalker Con, which I've attended before with my wife and I. We went to one in San Francisco. They do 18 of these now every single year, and hundreds and thousands of people, because of them and the show that they've started, come out to these conventions, and they are serving more people than those who are served at the San Diego Comic-Con convention, which is just incredible. So just to hear about just two guys who were in love with the show, who created a fan show, who then exploded is just crazy and awesome. And it makes me want to create a show of my own about shows that I love. And so here it is. This is Eric and James from the Walker Stalkers. You can find them at walkerstalkercon.com. That's their conference. And also thewalkerstalkers.com. Get ready to be inspired. Here we go. What's up, everybody? I can't tell you how excited I am for the show, because I've been looking forward to this one for so long. I'm interviewing Eric and James, the sort of partners who have put together what's called the Walker Stalkers podcast. You can find them at thewalkerstalkers.com. And if you don't know what that is in reference to, it's in reference to one of my favorite TV shows, The Walking Dead on AMC. And I'm super thankful that both Eric and James are here on the show today. So guys, welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having us.
So if I were to ask you, Eric, we'll start with you. What is the Walker Stalkers? How would you respond to that? What is it for everybody out there listening and kind of wondering what this is?
Well, James and I are neighbors, and we kind of connected in a weird way. But if I were to kind of give you a quick answer to that question, it would be that the Walker Stalkers is a fan-run, fan-oriented podcast, as well as a convention for fans of The Walking Dead, and I think it comes from a really pure place, in the sense of that it's created by fans. I mean, James and I, when we started this, we were just giddy fans, kind of excited to meet anyone from the show. We took a road trip back in, actually it was a year ago. It was 4 years ago today or tomorrow that we went on this road trip, and it changed our lives. It changed the trajectory of our lives from that point on.
James, can you tell me about what that road trip was? Can I guess and say that was a trip down to Atlanta?
It was. We went down to Sonoy, Georgia. I guess it would be 4 years ago. Well, by the time we run into this podcast, about another 20 minutes from now, about 4 years ago today, I reached out to Eric at some point in the day and said, "Hey, I saw on Twitter that they were filming the last day of The Walking Dead of season 3 down in Sonoy, and you can sit out and watch it. It's just like a little, downtown, Woodbury." Is what it was, but it's called Sonoy, and you could sit out and watch them film. And I told Eric we should go down and check it out, and maybe check out some of the other places that they had been filming. And neither one of us had anything going on, and that was a Friday. So we got up, I think about 4 a.m. We go straight to Atlanta or to Sonoy. And as soon as we got there, we kind of had the dream day. Even the people that go out there regularly still say it was probably the most amazing day that they can even recall. And we met, Lori Holden, who plays Andrea, and Rick, which is Andrew Lincoln, and Daryl, which is Norman Reedus, and just kept on. And we actually got to sit in a little coffee shop and watch them film the final scene there of season 3, where Rick and Daryl and Michonne go to the gates of Woodbury, and it was just amazing. And we just decided when we got back that we'd kind of share our experience. Eric put together a little YouTube video that got 1,000, maybe more hits really quick, and I put some pictures up on my legal blog, which maybe 80 people a day read, and I had over 800 read that first day. And we kind of realized we had something that we were sharing, and we had talked about doing podcasting, or talked about podcasts we listened to, specifically Jay and Jack's Lost podcast on the show Lost. And it was something we enjoyed, and we talked about maybe giving our own run at doing a podcast. And we had both been listening to other podcasts too. And so we came up with a Walker Stalkers podcast, and we got the name exactly from one of the girls that was out there waiting for the cast of The Walking Dead to arrive, that they called each other Walker Stalkers, and they put us into Eric's phone number, into her phone under Walker Stalker. So that's where we took the name, and that's where the podcast began.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Eric, can you tell us what you guys were kind of planning on doing with the podcast? Was it just say, hey, let's get together every week and just talk after an episode, or did you have bigger plans for it? Obviously, it's grown massively since then, and we'll talk about that growth in a bit. But what was your kind of plan going in, and how did you even get it up and running?
Well, I think the beauty of it was we really didn't have that much of a plan. We were just kind of giddy fanboys, I guess. If I were to describe us back then, we didn't know how to. I mean, I barely knew how to podcast. I think I bought like a blue microphone, and I'm looking at it right now, actually. And I went to podcastingtutorial.com and learned how to podcast watching Pat Flynn. And it was amazing. It was great. I mean, I learned a ton from you, Pat, how to do it. And we just sat down. I think it was like during the season, mid-season break. And that kind of was a good thing for us, because we could kind of work out the kinks of what we were doing. I mean, we just kind of hit the ground running. I mean, James started the website. I started the podcasting, and we just got together, and we live just a few doors down from each other. And so he'd come over late at night, typically when our wives were in bed, and we could kind of get together and hang out and talk about the show. I mean, we made up our own fans. We had people calling in that weren't real. just to
ask questions and stuff, and
to ask questions and entertain ourselves. And we had a survivalist on. The first 6 episodes were pretty pretty goofy, but anyway, eventually we did have some real fans, and we started having listeners. But it really kicked into gear when we got our first guest on episode 7. So probably week 7. Middle of January. We started the podcast in December. Middle of January of 2013, we got our first guest, and that really broke it for us.
James, can you talk about what it was like to get that first guest? How did you land this person? Who was it? And what was the results of that for your show?
Well, the first guest we ever had on the show was Greg Nicotero, who's now, at that time, was just head of the makeup and effects department for the show. Now, 4 years later, he's the executive producer.
Yeah, he's the man.
He directs every significant episode of the show, and of course leads their effects team still. We reached out really to everybody, really not expecting anybody in return, and we were able to get Greg's assistant to say that he would appear. And I just remember how excited the two of us were, and actually how nervous at the time, because we had never. I mean, at that time I was practicing law, and I'd probably done 100 plus depositions easily, and so I, interviewed or grilled people without a problem. But never had I interviewed anybody of a real significant stature, and never had done it over a podcast. So Eric and I, we prepared tediously. I mean, the questions, and we knew what we were going to ask and what we were going to discuss, and we researched, and we just were, frankly, we were probably overwhelmed, believe it or not. And I just remember us being so nervous, or sitting around Eric's computer in his basement when Greg called, but just how easy and kind Greg was. And really that podcast set the tone for what we would then do on all of our podcasts, and really kind of shaped the nature of who the Walker Stalkers were, and would become later with conventions and things. But we just had a great time with Greg, and it was easy. And we started talking about music, and that's kind of where we decided that we would shift the show around music and entertainment. And also we would be more interactive with the actors, with the fans. But then also we did a just out of nowhere, we asked Greg what his favorite song was, or what his favorite artist was, and he said Led Zeppelin. And we decided then we would do a Greg Nicotero Led Zeppelin parody song. And we did that based on Dire Maker, and played it for Greg. Greg loved it, took it back to his set, played it for the cast and crew, and it gave us this instant kind of credibility with everybody else. And it made it extremely easy for us to get other guests to come on the show, because we had received Greg's stamp of approval, and they all really kind of followed Greg's direction. But I think from the time we got Greg, we did over 20 straight podcasts in a row with an actor or a crew member from The Walking Dead, which was at that point, unheard of in the Walking Dead podcasts. Few and far between were any other Walking Dead podcast getting anybody, and we were able to string together, all these episodes. But it really did. It set kind of the tone for how we would do every podcast, every interview with all these actors, talking about music, and then parodying the music or other parts of the show, and just kind of keeping that light, fan interactive atmosphere where we would have all the fans also call in, which nobody else was doing. All the other shows, if they did get anybody, they were keeping all the questions to themselves, but we wanted the fans to be part of it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. How were you able to reach out to Greg initially? Was that via email, or did you phone in, or what was that like?
I think we bought an IMDb Pro account, right, Eric?
Right. Yes.
What? Are you serious?
Yes, we did. I mean,
yeah, we just hounded everybody we could, truthfully.
It's persistence. It's always the hardest. The first one's always the hardest one to get. And the same goes for the conventions, I think. But once that happened with Greg, and James said, what Greg did, I mean, he just honored us so much by, giving us a good name amongst his peers. And yeah, I mean, but it was a lot of persistence, I would say. James is very persistent.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously very necessary, and I'm so glad you guys did that, because what you guys have created is amazing. I think you're up to episode 166 now, and it's just, the show doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. And so at what point, Eric, did it turn into this sort of hobby for fun thing into a business for you? When was that realization, and how did it turn into a business for you?
Well, that's interesting, because it really just started with this innocent fan mentality, and the purity of it just kind of kept going. Because what happened then, after we got Greg, and we started getting all the other actors, we thought it would be awesome to do a season 3 finale in Sonoy. Actually, we wanted to do it down in Woodbury.
Like a live in-person, people come by and watch it.
Yeah, live, people come and watch it with us, and maybe we could get one or two celebrities to the event because a lot of them are there, live around there locally. Mm-hmm. And we particularly struck a really great relationship with one of the actresses. Melissa McBride was so good and so kind, who plays Carol on the show, to us on our first day that we were there. She sat with us and we had coffee with her in the coffee shop, and she was just so kind to all the other people then. So we asked her, right, James? I mean, you asked her to come to our finale party, and it was a surprise. It was a surprise guest, but we did we organized an all-day location tour with Atlanta. What was the company again, James? Atlanta movie tours?
We did it on our own. We thought the movie tour company was too expensive at the time.
Of course.
So we rented our own buses. Mm-hmm. And
that's right.
we took everybody around ourselves.
Yep.
I think I took a bus and you took a bus.
Right.
Wow.
It was crazy, man. And so we just kind of threw it together, and then it was going to finish around 6:30 at the location where we were going to do our finale party. We had about 85 people there. Mm-hmm. And that's what kind of and it was an amazing experience. I mean, for us, that was a rush. Number one, to be podcasters and finally meet our audience, like the people that actually listen to us. I mean, there was one girl that drove from Oklahoma City to come.
And we had the people from Canada too.
That's right. We had the Canadians. And these are people that are still like core people today, mm-hmm. that first came along, and we just got to hang with them for the night and just kind of geek out to our favorite show. And it was a great finale, great event. Immediately we planned the season premiere for season 4 party, which ended up being at the high school where they shot an episode in season 2. And it was we had 400 people there, James?
Yeah, 400 people.
Just somewhere around there. It was at Noonan High School, and we recreated the whole quarantine evacuation zone where Shane had killed Otis.
Right.
It was right there in the same parking lot. So we had a big outdoor screen, and we were planning that, and kind of somewhere in the middle of there, we got an idea of putting on something even bigger, and maybe thinking around 1,000 people. And it was going to be the first Walker Stalker Con later on in the year in November. And
a year later.
Exactly a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a Kickstarter. And
yes, this is where James. This is where I start to. I think I've quit already twice by this point, because the first time I was spending a ton of time. I had, James had his law practice. I had several businesses that I was running at the time, mm-hmm. and we were just doing this for fun, but it ended up becoming, taking on a life of its own. And I was like, I don't know if I can commit to doing this. I mean, I'm stressed out, but I was having so much fun, doing it. And James being we kind of joked a lot about me being the brakes and he was the accelerator in our relationship, but he was definitely the driver of a lot of this stuff. Yeah, Eric, I think we can do, let's do a finale party. Let's do a season 4 premiere party. Yeah, let's do a convention. Okay. And, I'm the stupid one that kept saying, yeah, let's do it. And then afterwards I'd be like hanging my head. What have I just done? And, but it was an amazing time. I'm really glad James, pulled me always out of my comfort zone.
So James, tell me about that first convention. What was all involved with planning that, and what was it like to actually put it on?
First, I don't think our wives had ever let us even plan a birthday party. So planning a convention was something completely out of the norm for us. But we knew that it was going to be quite an undertaking, and so we started talking to people who had run other small conventions around Nashville and others throughout the nation, and just we really didn't even have it in mind as a convention, more as just a larger fan meetup on a bigger scale than what we were doing. Instead of bringing in 3 actors, we were going to bring in like 20, and we did the Kickstarter. We're about halfway through it. We only needed to raise about $15,000, and that's all we needed to put the initial seed in for the convention. So we got halfway through. We weren't even close. We switched up some of the rewards, and we were actually able to just crack that 15,000 at the end of the first 30 days. And we had some amazing reward levels that nobody ended up ever buying except for one lady who ended up having kind of the ultimate time once we finally put the convention together. But as we got closer, again, we had that credibility with Greg Nicotero and Melissa McBride, where they were just like, you guys telling the other actors, you all should come and do this convention. It's the guys that you did their podcast. And so we started slowly to just build this following. And up until this point, no other convention in the United States had ever had more than 6 actors from The Walking Dead at one event. And that was a Horror Hound in Cincinnati. Had about 6 of the actors, Norman Reedus and a few. But we started to build this guest list, and we were now having to deal with their managers, so we were having to explain who we were, and even though the actor may have trusted us, these managers were very wary of us.
Gosh, yes. I mean, it was it just kind of taking it back just a few notches, though. I mean, when we were sitting there, and I think we had only raised $2,000 halfway through the Kickstarter, and we kind of had a laissez-faire kind of approach up until then, or maybe like 1 post a day, and we had some good, decent pledge offerings, but we totally had to revamp everything. We totally got aggressive with the pledges that we were putting out there. We on social media, I think every single hour. From that point on, there was something we were selling, something we were offering. We were doing everything we could to just guerrilla market the heck out of it. And I think, again, the persistence of it and the fact that we were just like, we're not going to accept not hitting that $15,000 mark, I think made all the difference to getting us.
Yeah. So the 15,000 wasn't that's not like how much it would cost to put on the event.
No.
Okay.
No, we made a lot of mistakes in the first one, I would say, probably too. But yes.
Yeah, we made plenty. I mean, we even got to the point where I remember at the convention with Andrew Lincoln on stage right before we announced, like, hey, great news, we just made everything we need to cover the convention. And then, of course, like weeks later, we get all these post-event bills that we never knew that existed or would come in, and so we actually lost money on that first one. But going back to just how it grew, we started to get all the cast, and then ultimately we ended up getting Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes, to agree to come to the convention. He had never done any convention before, other than San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con, which is kind of required by AMC for him to attend. So this is the first fan event he had ever attended willfully, and he was also coming to do it for charity, which was amazing. But once we added him, it really grew and grabbed the national attention. We got articles written on us by I think Entertainment Weekly and Rolling Stone and USA Today.
Wow.
And
MTV, CNN.
Yeah, MTV. It was initially even some of the first articles, which were smaller than that, it was all jokes, ZombieCon, it's already worse than in smell than any Comic-Con is, and these people are dead. I mean, it's just we were more the brunt of jokes, I would say, but it got real attention. But then Andrew Lincoln came along, and we started to grab some other shows. as well. Like Giancarlo Esposito plays Gus on Breaking Bad, and we had all these other people in attendance, and so it really gained some credibility really quick. And by the time it kind of got the spotlight it did, we were really close. So it didn't turn out to be, it turned out to be a much larger event than we expected, because originally we were only hoping for about 1,000 to 1,500 people, and we ended up with almost 10,500 people over the 3 days.
10,500 people?
That's
unbelievable.
Yes.
That's insane.
It could have been much bigger. I think if we were 30 days later with the national press we had received, it could have been every bit as large as our year 2 event, where we had about 30,000. But just the timing of the press, but it grabbed that national spotlight, so it went quickly from the one event to, well, hey, are you guys going to take this thing anywhere else, and are you interested in going to this city or this city or this city? So it quickly became this dialogue between Eric and I. Are we just going to do this one time and come back maybe next year, or are we going to come back at all, or are we going to give this an opportunity and go somewhere else?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy run.
I'm still amazed at that number for a first go around. 10,000 plus people. I'm used to, we're used to talking about events here on this show with people who put on events and whatnot that are in the maybe up to 2,000, but 10,000 for a first time event. Like, how do you even handle that? Obviously it just wasn't you two kind of making the show run, right? Like, how are you able to even pull that off?
Well, it was a lot of favor that we had. It was amazing, first of all, that all of these managers trusted us enough, these actor managers that manage them for their live appearances and their convention appearances. The fact that we were able to kind of have the favor that we did, and that we actually could, we actually came through on the numbers for them, because we had to guarantee things the first time. We had quite a bit that we had on the line, that we had to kind of promise we would achieve for them. And so the Andrew Lincoln, the fact that he would come, first of all, when Norman Reedus committed, our ticket sales, I think we probably sold 1,500 tickets just from Norman Reedus alone. But then Andrew Lincoln commits, and he does it so that the city of Atlanta, he gives back to a charity in the city of Atlanta because he's wanted to give back to the city of Atlanta. That we actually, the way we learned it, the way that happened was we had learned that he had said in an interview that he wanted to give back to the city of Atlanta at some point, somehow. And as persistent as we were, we kind of said, hey, remember this interview? Maybe this is the time to do that. And he's just been so gracious to us. What a great man. All the cast and crew are, to be honest, we wouldn't have even done this had we not wanted to do it, because they were so kind and so nice and happy that people actually paid attention to their show. At that time, it was already pretty massive, but they weren't really full of themselves, and just grateful and good with the fans.
And so that one was in Atlanta, and then you've done several more. I attended one, and thank you for inviting me and my wife to go. We went to one in San Francisco, and now I'm seeing ones for Chicago and Nashville. So in a year now, how many of these things are you putting on, and how many people are you serving through them total?
I think we did 18 events this year.
Gosh.
Or we'll have done 18 events this year.
That's insane.
And that includes a cruise we did back in February, and we did an event in London in March. And
wow.
I think it was at the end of February, actually. Essentially, we will have seen 4 times the amount of people that San Diego Comic-Con saw this year. So I think it would be just over 600,000 people
Yeah,
that have come through our doors.
That's ridiculous. That is amazing. Congratulations, you two. And I have to say, in going to one of these, and I went to one of the smaller ones in San Francisco, which it was such a well-run event with that many people there, and that there were thousands of people there. It just seemed to be so well thought out, and my wife and I, we had VIP tickets, so we were able to go like in the front and stuff. But even though there were a lot of people who didn't have those tickets, everybody seemed to be taken care of and was in the right lines, and just everything was perfect. And from the photo shoots to the getting to ask questions on stage, it was just really well done. Like, I know that you just through doing many of these, you start to learn what works and what doesn't, but I also know a lot of people who are in the event industry who are like, this is one of the hardest things to do is to put on an event. Yet here you guys are putting 18 on a year. James, why do you guys keep doing this?
I think it speaks to the heart of our team. Like Eric said, even today, the majority of people that now actually work for Walker Stalkers were those original fans that either listened to the podcast or volunteered at the very first Atlanta event. And they just love this. When we put on the first 2 or 3 conventions, at that time we didn't even really know we were going to continue to do them, if we were going to do them year over year. It was just, hey, we love this. We love being part of a fan ran event, and let's put our heart into it and do it at every point in from the aspect of, are we doing this the right way for somebody who's attending? How would we want to be treated? And we even today we say, we treat the attendees like celebrities and the celebrities like regular people, and continue to do that, and trying to always better ourselves event after event, and keeping that same passion. We really have this great team now that can really, truthfully, if somebody came up and said we wanted to do a show on, I don't know, Gilmore Girls, we could probably within a month pull together a show on Gilmore Girls, because we have the capability now with our team to essentially reskin our entire convention. But we do it because we love it. Everybody genuinely loves their jobs. They have a passion for each of the areas. They kind of all fell into their designated roles because they volunteered for it, whether it be, Brad Justice, who runs our volunteers and just has a heart for leading people there, or Katie Anderson, who runs our disability services and just has a passion for making sure that, every single attendee, blind, deaf, lame, that they all have the same level of enjoyment at the convention and the same access. And so I think that really speaks to why we've been able to grow at the rate we have been, and kind of now where we are the number one touring convention, fan-based touring convention company in the world.
Amazing. Eric, what advice would you have for somebody who is getting really inspired by this, who has a show that they watch all the time, that they're very passionate about? They talk about it with their friends on Monday after the show's been published, and at the water cooler, and now they're like, man, I want to start a podcast about my show. What advice would you have for them to help make it a success? Because this is like what you like after it became this regular thing that you guys were doing with the conventions and whatnot. That, you ended up going full on with this, right? Like this was full time for you, right?
Yeah, I definitely was full time for James, and I think the thing, and I still have a lot of passions and things that I do, and since we started, I've since taken a step away from the Walker Stalkers and Walker Stalker Con, and I've been pursuing some other things because there's a lot of things I'm passionate about. As an entrepreneur, you just get ideas and you just start running with them.
Totally.
But what I would say is, to somebody who's passionate about a show or about anything, is to just be as sincere as possible with your approach. People can spot sincerity a mile away. And I think the thing that I'm most proud of in partnership with James in this whole thing is that we never actually set out with an intention to take advantage of anybody. We had a heart to recreate the same joy and the same feeling and put smiles on faces of other people, the same smiles we could not stop getting off our face in those 4 hours that we drove home after a 20-hour day, coming back from this amazing day that we had. We always wanted to recreate that. And actually, I think you've got to have that intention about what you're doing. And I think it requires a ton of persistence as well. And I think you should also, I would say, dream bigger than you think you can. This whole experience, honestly, I come away with it with the thought that I actually need to dream bigger. The fact that all of this happened, that this kind of epic thing that I was a part of, happened because I dreamed big, and it actually did happen. And James dreamed big, and I had somebody that pulled me along to dream big when I didn't really believe it could be possible either. I think if you shoot for big, you'll definitely get medium for sure, or maybe something big.
Thank you for that. I mean, I need to think bigger too, and I'm telling myself all the time that it's interesting. I always surprise myself with what I'm able to achieve, and I feel like if I dream bigger, I might be able to go and help a lot more people too at the same time. So thank you for that. And then finally, James, how about you? Any advice for somebody out there who has a passion for a show? They want to just start talking about it on the airwaves. What advice would you have for that person to really have some success with it?
In a lot of ways, I completely agree with Eric. If you do what you're passionate about, the results come. And be it a successful podcast, or be it a convention series, or whatever your business dreams are. If you're true to yourself and true to other people and respectful, the rest of it takes care of themselves, because we were just two fans who shared a passion about a show about zombies and the people that lived around them, and we just kept trying to make it better. I mean, our first podcasts were lousy, and even once we started getting the guests, they were still mediocre at best, but we continued to refine our craft, and we kept developing a sense of who we were and what we were able to do. But we always made sure that we took care of everybody along the way, be it trying to take care of the actor when they came on the show or to one of our events, or tried to take care of one of the listeners, or just rewarding people and being there and being an outlet for these people to also achieve their dreams. Because we have our own dreams, but for some people, all it is to come and meet Norman Reedus.
That's my wife's dream.
All they want to do in life.
That was your wife's dream, right?
And she still hasn't fulfilled it yet, because we just haven't had a chance to go to Atlanta or some of the other ones he's
Right.
at. But when we were in Frisco, she was like, "Oh man, everything's perfect except Norman Reedus isn't here." So it's good to give us a good excuse to come back. But Eric,
we are coming back next year to San Francisco finally after not being there this last year. So
awesome!
Hopefully
awesome.
we'll be able to get Norman out there. But the biggest thing is this thing gives everybody an avenue to fulfill these amazing moments. And we tell our volunteers that we empower them every day to do something extraordinary and special for every attendee that comes through, and to make these great moments that, just like Eric and I had the very first year that we went. We do a lot of work with Make-A-Wish and similar programs, and it's so rewarding to see these moments where people are just overwhelmed with joy, and in turn we get that we receive some of that joy. And I think at the end of the day, every single person that now works for us, or then at the time volunteered for us, would tell you that it's those moments that keep us going, and the reason why we continue to do this.
Yeah, well, thank you guys, and I first of all just thank you both, and thank you to your massive team who's been able to put those smiles on those people's faces and recreate that sort of first experience you had over at Woodbury during that season filming. And I say that because I remember when my wife and I were finished with the San Francisco convention, we were coming away from it really bummed because it was already over, but smiling from ear to ear and just kind of giddy because it just was such a cool experience. We got to meet a lot of our favorite people. And people who we've come to really love and connect with through the show. So thank you so much for that. And just keep doing what you're doing because you guys are amazing. So, guys, check them out, the Walker Stalkers podcast. You can find it on iTunes, obviously, or head on over to thewalkerstalkers.com. You can see all the information about their upcoming events. And if you're a fan of the show and you're not listening to this, you are missing out because it's great. So, fellas, thank you again, Eric, James. Appreciate you both so much. And is there anything else that you want to share in terms of a link, or did I kind of get it all?
I think you covered it.
I think you got it.
Walker, yeah, you want to just give them the other website for the convention?
It's thewalkerstalkers.com is the podcast, and then of course Walker Stalker Con is where you can find more information on the conventions.
Cool. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it, and I look forward to putting this one out there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people to listen to.
Thanks, Pat. You're awesome.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that story with Eric and James. Man, what an incredible run, and they are just getting started, it seems, with all that they're doing. Walker Stalker Con is in many different cities. You can check them out at walkerstalkercon.com and also the walkerstalkers.com for their podcast. And it's just so cool to see podcasts like this just explode. I remember a story from Cliff Ravenscraft when he got started. He's the podcast answer man, and he's helped tens of thousands of people start their podcasts, and he's got millions of listens over the course of, I don't know, thousands of shows that he's done since. But his very first podcast was about the show Lost, if you remember that. And since then, he's just been going gangbusters too, just like the guys over at the Walker Stalkers podcast. So thank you, Eric. Thank you, James, for coming on and inspiring us. And thank you, all of you, for listening. And again, Happy New Year to you all. And as a reminder, the show notes and links for the show are available at smartpassiveincome.com/session247. Again, that's smartpassiveincome.com/session247. I hope you've been enjoying the free podcast content here. I'm really excited because it's one of my favorite things to do, and I know a lot of you have already taken action from the content that you've listened to on the podcast. And if that's you, congratulations. Just keep going, please. It's one of my favorite things to see. But I also know a lot of you, and a lot of you have been telling me that you've been wanting more. You've been wanting additional information, some accountability, some hand-holding along the way. And so depending on what it is that you're looking for, what I would recommend is actually go to smartpassiveincome.com/courses. You'll see the courses that I'm offering there that are paid courses, but they're there to help walk you through certain processes. Depending on what problem you have or what issue or what thing you're trying to solve, go there, check it out. You can see if there's a course available for you and where you're at in your business right now, whether you're just getting started and you just want to make sure you have all the right things in place before you actually devote a lot of time and effort into something. There's a course for you there. For those of you looking to get started with a podcast, there's stuff for you there. And there's going to be more courses there in the future. And how do I come up with those ideas for the courses? They come directly from you. So thank you for all telling me how I can help you better. And if you have ideas for more courses that I can create for you, just hit me up on Twitter at Pat Flynn. Let me know, or use my contact page on smartpassiveincome.com. But again, check out and see what's available. smartpassiveincome.com/courses. That will be continually added to over time. So check it out. Thanks so much. Before I let you go, I want to let you know about a new podcast that's coming this year. Actually, it's launching in 2 weeks. It's called The Inflection Point, hosted by Noah Kagan, a great friend of my own and the Smart Passive Income podcast. He was also featured in episode 71 of the podcast here, and also on SPI TV in episode 38, actually one of the most downloaded episodes of SPI TV in a while. And what's really cool about Noah is he's including challenges into his podcast episode along with his guests, and it's really creative the way he's approaching it. Actually, he's very creative in general, and he's also very creative with the sponsorship spots here. So you can go ahead and go to okdork.com, which is his blog, okdork.com/podcast, to get notified of when it comes out. Again, in a couple weeks. I think January 17th is when it launches. And then on my show on the 18th, he's actually promoting that show by doing something he's never done and I've never seen before to promote a podcast. So go ahead and check that out. You're going to love it. For now, go to okdork.com/podcast and look out for the sponsorship spot in 2 weeks on the 18th. It's going to be something brand new. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And here is to a happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous 2017 for us all. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score App's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.